and how fast you're able to keep up. Like right now, he just traversed the map and he's only 100 away.
Yeah,
So,
they're staying right on him, man. He doesn't have room to breathe. I don't think we're going to see a lot of stealth play here, especially with Gobi. You know, Gobi sees all.
and just as you say, not going to see stealth play, comes right through with a decoy into a stealth bounce. Q coming in.
Well used.
Going right in, does get captured though in the dome, so this is going to be the first dome of the game. Dead Rebirth is going to be looking to see what he can get. He's probably going to mitigate this dome, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any loops in here. I'm not seeing any.
Oh, here we go. We have one in the back here. I don't think does it loop? Does it?
Does it? Yep, okay.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
a full loop, so it's not a God Dome, which God Domes are outlawed in TGL. So,
Really?
yeah.
I did not know that, actually.
It was something they made with a recent change. They said, like, intentional God Domes. So, like, incidental ones where, like, you're on the chase and you throw one. It's one of those things, just try not to throw it, which is something that we saw there where they just threw it. They knew they had enough space, so coming through.
Yeah, I think the smart thing to do with Wraith these days is just do your best to flee till 3 on most maps. There's a couple, relay fights that I'd want to avoid, but personally, I think with Wraith you can do a quick flee till 3. You'll be in good position.
And he's just throwing out the decoy, getting a little bit of harassment, just trying to slow them off. Dome's about to be released right now in about 2 seconds, yeah, there you go, 2 seconds. Was right.
You're gonna take a little bit of damage on the escape there. Looks like he got clipped by a poison dart, possibly. Although, no. Yep, seeing the health drop now.
Yeah, and there's the poison green outline coming through. Charge shots, Gobi. Everything's being done to make sure Val has those sight lines. Rune's already in hot pursuit, so, like, this is what I was talking about. Like, he's right there, on point already, and Deadrigger's gone from one corner to the other.
You know why? When he knew that dome was about to end, he started saving his jetpack so he could be on the chase.
So for those of you at home, pro tips coming out right there. You saw it live with White Heat.
They're giving him no breathing room.
I'm surprised he doesn't have, like, his full evolve meter yet, though. He's just been harassed and kept off food for so long. It's just surprising to see. Like, our timer right now we're looking at, we're at 5 minutes, 20 seconds in, and we're already starting to go through.
I've seen Monsters stage 3 by this point.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing charge shots coming in, going right through the armor, getting through that, like, finishing off that bar of health, so he'll be at 3 bars. When he goes to stage 2, he'll gain a couple bars because he evolved. He'll be in a decent spot, and he'll have more abilities, but we just need to see that stage 2 evolution coming out. Oh, did we get a juke, though?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to run down the raceway a bit, and Rune's pretty far back.
Rebirth is right now on point, just throwing out the 70-meter Gobi. Going to get that spotted sight line, so we'll be able to see where he was, so that he knows if it's safe to go up top here, which is a spot that, again, we refer this as Cyril Raceway, because what Cyril did, and this is where he patented it, came right through here, and he either stealth pounce here, or he continued chasing, depending on what the Hunter team did. If they came through as a full 4, then he just continued on and swam around the raceway. If they came through in a 2-2, he'd either engage or disengage, or like go past it, depending on who it was, or the third option where they went with a 3-1 split, in which case someone's dying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You don't see the 3-1 split much anymore unless it's a trapper hanging deep.
Yeah, it's definitely not in that spot anymore. They've seen too many people die.
Yeah, well, ever since they made monsters a bit more, feisty and bursty at stage 1, stage 2,
So we are seeing the Evolve come out now. We have EAX in a great spot to get some Evolve damage coming out of him. He's going to see it there. However, he chooses not to go in. He wants to make sure that he's in a good spot. They're going to throw the dome. That way he is captured and he's forced to come out of that corner. But let's see, how is this positioning-wise for Dead Rebirth who's going through against EAX's dome. Going right out, coming out, goes straight for EAX, abducts him, brings him in. Going to see some quick healing from Rogue Val. Warp Blast gets used to put him on top, and he's just going to choose to mitigate because he doesn't have any armor at this point. Is he's just going to try and push his way through, and he's just going to try and survive. Goes to the abduct on Spanners. Spanners dodges it last second with the jetpack, using that to make sure he gets some space.
Yeah, he's going to have a tough time in here. It looks like his options for evading are going to corner him. If he wants to try and evade in the building, cornered. Go up top, cornered.
And everything's being done. Here comes the abduct getting thrown out just to mitigate and get himself away from it. Here comes the stasis being used, the Warp Blast, and everything being thrown up. Does actually decide to try and finish off Spanners. Spanners is getting knocked around, getting juggled pretty hard. Oral being used. He gets thrown right on Spanners, which means he can get the 1 blast. Dead Rebirth down to 2 bars of health. Gets picked up, gets brought back down on the ground. Everything's being done to try and deal damage, but he's not quite enough. Decoy being used to try and survive. Stasis being used. Everything being used on this fight. Trying to get out of here. Puts himself up into the air to try and get away. Not quite able to get the space. He's getting hunted down by Spanners. More More of the EAX shots coming in the rear. Has a sliver of HP. We're at the take the shot scenario. Spanish is chipping away, trying to get the mini lightsabers getting through, and Rune comes in with the minigun, and EAX comes in with the finish and charge shot.
That was brutal. You saw that health just peeling away at the end there. You had that kind of, you know, should I commit? Should I mitigate? Should I commit? And I think by the time he made his mind up, it was too late.
So we're looking at this. This does put it in favor of Team YP for game number 1, giving them a 1-0 lead in this best-of-5 series. We're going forward, and that is an astonishing start to show just the power of YP going against Dead Reaper's Wraith. He gave it all he could, but it wasn't quite able to get it. We'll have to see what they do in game 2. Do you think, like, how do you think Dead Reaper's is going to change in game 2?
I think we probably will see something other than a Wraith pick. I think he's going to need something with a little more health to be able to handle the abuse that YP is capable of putting out.
Mm-hmm. And they're definitely not strangers to pumping out damage, as we're just seeing them being able to melt through everything. And he came in through with a full evolve, had full abilities, everything off cooldown, ready to go. Wasn't able to finish off anyone just because not only their evasion, which is something we mentioned is critical when you pick Rogue Val, right? Is just their ability to protect themselves, keep themselves protected, and deal damage consistently throughout the period of the dome. That dome, again, was also positioned perfectly, so he had no places to run and hide. As you mentioned, if he tried to hide, he was in a corner, which means he's taking more damage than he would if he just stayed on the open and was evasive.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you saw, you know, the Trapper take a couple steps back when they threw that dome to ensure it was in the right spot. They ran in, saw him, stepped back, prep the dome. You know, it's another sign of a good team, one that really has a strong consideration for where they're going to put their dome.
Yep.
And the other thing is the damage they put out. You know, everybody contributed.
Yeah, you saw Hank come out with the laser cutter. You saw Val coming out with the poison and sniper shots, which didn't see many miss, if any. That's just like accuracy on Val is dangerous.
Them hacks.
Yeah. Aimbot hacks, man. He must have been hanging out with Red Panda too much. So coming through with that, like all that damage being put through, and it's just non-stop pumping damage with that composition, and that's something you have to do with Rogue Val is punish and deal damage and melt through.
You know, it's true. The best defense is a good offense, and it's very true in a ball. Like, you know, you have a monster targeting somebody. All the CC in the world isn't going to make that monster stop. It'll hinder him. But if you want him to stop, you start ripping health bars off.
Yeah. And that's the only way you're going to actually scare him off.
So. Yeah, and it's a big difference. Like you know, I play lower tier teams sometimes, or just random pubs, and you'll be in a situation where the Trapper's just like laying traps, or you know, just doing something else, or people are like watching their guns reload instead of taking some shots at the monster, and that extra damage combined from your entire team makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's like a little, like an extra 100 damage here and there. It builds up. So, you know, if you get 100 damage, your teammate gets an extra 100 damage, and you get like maybe like, you know, a couple more extra hundreds. That's 400 damage, like if you do everyone, which is almost half a health bar. So it builds up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do you think we're going to see for a monster ban?
I'm thinking we're probably going to stick with a... I'm trying to make sure I don't look at this screen right now because we're seeing the bans come through. But I'm going to say a Kraken ban, and I'm expecting a Meteor Goliath pickup is what I'm expecting. I'm leaning that way. You know,
I'll agree to that. I will agree to that.
It's because the Flame Breath, the mobility, because the Leap Smash is farther, the Charge is farther, so if you run those two with the movement speed perk, I think you're in a great position.
I agree. I think Meteor Goliath, you know, he lacks that burst of OG Goliath, you know, but he has mobility to make up for it. I personally like to run cooldown on Meteor when I play him, just simply because he has those extended cooldowns compared to normal Goliath. And you're able to use his abilities as traversal. You know, you can burn that Leap Smash, that Charge.
It's very interesting to see like just the different options. Like you look at Goliath and you're looking at something that you're trying to run pure burst damage, and as we saw last game, the main problem wasn't damage output. It wasn't something. It wasn't that. It was more so just the fact that he couldn't lose them. Once he found them, he just couldn't get the distance he needed in order to evolve safely and to get himself to that next tier. And if you're going to go with like a run till stage 3 sort of idea and try and be evasive towards the Lightwing, you know, Rune, Spanners, and in this case EAX, and you know the team members of Team YP, and it's interesting. Like you have to kind of look at that and say, hey, maybe at this point I need to sacrifice some damage in order for that extra bit of mobility.
Yeah, no, I agree with you entirely. I agree with you entirely. And I think, you know, if you have a team on your ass like that, picking a good evolve spot is crucial. One thing I've been seeing a lot of monsters at comp do ever since they introduced the armor, where you can be a bit riskier with your evolve, is they'll evolve like right next to a pillar to almost force the trappers to have to give them a loop for evasion.
So we're going in right now. Bans are coming through, so we'll play a little bit of catch up here. Coming through. We have first ban, of course, going to be Kraken. Kraken's running, if not 100, it's running like 90%.
Which honestly kind of surprises me because I think Kraken's about on par with Goliath right now, personally.
Kraken's one of those things, like, maybe it's like, I don't know, like I've said this before, but I think it's pretty much like they're just tired of seeing it sort of thing.
Yeah, oh, I agree. I agree.
I'm not complaining because we're seeing everyone else come out of the woodwork, but it's just a monster that we've seen a lot of, and it's not that it's it's not like it's superior in every way. It has its place and when it should be played and when it shouldn't be played, or how it needs to be played. But it doesn't mean that, you know, Goliath, Meteor Goliath, or Wraith are any less viable. And on the rare instance, you know, with Bugsy, we might see Behemoth getting picked, but that's a very map-specific pick.
It is, you know. But Behemoth is very situational, and I think he really relies on the hunters making some port calls. Let's go in this cave. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, so we're coming through. We have Kraken ban, Torvald ban, Hyde pick, again normal, Jack ban, Crow pick, again normal. Nothing else really surprising. Then we have a Sunny ban, followed by a Hank pick. This is looking pretty close. Yep. So you care to guess the last one?
I'm going to go with Val. I'm going to go with the Val ban.
Yep. And followed by a Rogue Val pickup. So we're looking at the exact same composition, and we'll have to see what they pick for monster, and that just came through, and that's going to be Wraith. So
I'm surprised at that. I was thinking maybe they switch it up a little bit.
So that's the bans, and that's what we're looking at. For those of you that are wondering how the TGL works, that's the outline right there. So if you want to do it with your friends in a custom lobby, it's a great way to spice things up and change up the pace a little bit.
Wrong map, by the way.
So yeah.
I agree with you. I love the rule set, and we've actually been seeing the TGL rule set bleed over into some of the ESL games where teams have made gentlemen's agreements to run on the TGL rule set.
Yep. Of course, they have to use the ESL maps system, but they can change like the hunter picks and whatnot if both teams agree, because they have that rule in there as well. It's just nice to see like the different way of playing the game, and I'm sure, like, you know, once we're starting to see more come on in pubs and stuff like that. Like, I've seen, like, I was in a game with some people in Quick Play, and people were like, oh, let's just do the ban system for fun. It's like, really? Are we doing this in a pub when we can only talk for, like, 30, 40 seconds? All right.
Yep.
But it's just nice to see, like, people are enjoying the variety and all the difference that's coming through with the TGL and what it brings forward.
For sure, you know, there's so many different ways Evolve can be played. You know, you're seeing people just make all kinds of fun custom modes. Someone made a mode where they set all the wildlife to be like super aggressive, and they had their own rule set. Who was that? Was that Source?
I don't know. I don't remember who that was, but it was like I saw it in the video, and it was hilarious. And I was just dying because it was just like everything's everywhere. It's like, oh my god, mammoth birds nonstop, reavers punching you. So we're going in the game now, just to show you guys. We have it going through. We have Team YP versus the Dome Destroyers. It is currently 1-0 in favor of Team YP. Going forward, this is the lineup. We're looking at a Crow being played by EAX, Hyde being played by Rune, Spanners, of course, playing support, which I don't think I've ever seen him play anything else in competitive play. And we have Nightwayne, who bounces between Trapper and Medic, playing Rogue.
Having deja vu here.
Yeah, it seems oddly familiar.
Well, hopefully, the game here we get a little difference.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what he does differently. He might change up his skill build, might choose a different perk just to try and combat the mobility that they're able to put forward. It is, of course, Wraith Trap with a Wraith, so, you know, he is meant to be trapped on this map, but you never know. Wraiths have been known to turn this one into their favor.
Sure. I mean, this map offers a lot of opportunities to escape, I think, because there's a good amount of vertical terrain that you can lead the hunters up and force them to burn jetpack, you know, be it these little bumps like right here or further down going up the cliffs.
Yeah, and it's nice to see, like, all the different options, like, terrain-wise. Like, this map
Yeah,
specifically
absolutely.
has, like, 2 biomes mixed together, like, clashing.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, you have the forest, you have like the wide open, rocky areas, you even have you know, kind of a swamp area.